Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Cast, our Dungeons & Dragons web series. I am Russell S.A.N, and with me I have...
Fishman.
Well, last we left off, Aquans Jonas had undertaken the final leg of their journey towards the town of Vyrn's Run. After the final journey through the forest which they had been traversing, they came across a ravine which they had to hunt down a deer for some strange creature that had demanded it for a toll. Well, upon passing by over the said ravine, they came across another venturing party which had suffered a casualty among its members. The surviving members, Alvin, Betha, and Balazar, were undecided on what to do. Alvin decided to remain with our party, and Betha and Balazar returned to Vyrn's Run, shaken by the death of their companion. After exploring what seemed like a small cliffside area and having a few encounters, our three adventurers proceeded along the journey towards Vyrn's Run, where they came across a wagon, which was heading in the same direction but was having trouble. Upon noticing that the wagon had barred windows as well as armed soldiers, or on it. They decided to investigate further and noticed that one of them was carrying a very familiar looking glaive, which was a magic glaive they had found earlier, taken from a dead adventuring party, and then it had been stolen from them by a thief they encountered previously. Working quickly, they defeated the, as it turned out, slavers, and liberated the captive young ladies and the thief held within. And deciding to continue the rest of the journey in the wagon, they crested the hill coming towards Vyrn's Run, which we now get our first look at.
Finally!
So that's everything that happened last time, really.
That's it. That was our last adventure, and now we're looking at this place.
A return to civilization, and all the wonders it entails.
A warm bath, a real bed, no twigs poking you in the middle of the night, hot food. Well, we had hot food, but maybe better cooking than we've been doing.
Yes. So we finally are arriving at the crossroads town of Vyrn's Run, as we know it.
Yep.
Though we're arriving now as we planned, in a slaver's wagon with a group of rescued slave girls, a thief whom we previously encountered and I was none too pleased with, and our new friend Alvin.
Yes.
So, as memory serves, you and I are basically guiding the horses in the front of this wagon, if I remember correctly.
Alvin's probably on top as well.
Yes.
But everyone else is, we returned the thief her armor and stuff.
Yeah, so we gave each of the captives probably a substantial amount of money, probably a ludicrous amount, some people will think, but...
Yeah, but we're probably going to need to do their shopping for them, because I don't think they want to wander around town in this light rain wearing those thin cotton shifts that they were wearing, because...
In the late afternoon.
They're slave girls, so they're not exactly dressed for wandering around town.
Yeah.
So that's why they're riding also, I suspect, inside the wagon.
In the late afternoon, approaching evening, as well.
Yes.
In the fall.
Yeah, it's probably a little chilly as well, so...
So that is our first task, really, is finding a way into the city as we come towards the gate on the north end of this.
Yeah, I suppose our main concern is this a known vehicle? Is this something that is recognized by possibly not the straightest of town guards? And
well, we are having this conversation and thought process as we are still moving along this road towards the gate.
well, there's nothing really we can do about it. We have to see if they are actually going to respond in any particular way.
Okay.
So as we do approach the gate, as we're going through what's, I think, farmland at this point, I do want to keep an eye on the guards and see if I can discern any kind of possible look in their eyes saying that this is not the way it should be, or whatever, or is just like, oh, here comes this another bunch of travelers.
Yeah, discern motive. I don't think that's a term used really much anymore in the fifth edition. It used to be, I think.
Possibly. Let's just go for insight then.
Yes.
How about insight checking the guards as we approach?
Alright, so it doesn't take us too long. Our current pace takes about 10 minutes to reach the crest of the hill we were on, coming down towards the gate, at which point we do have to slow because the gate is closed.
And late afternoon? Oh, alright. Never been here before. This may just be normal.
Mm-hmm. Or not.
Or not.
There are indeed 2 guards. Just standing.
They're outside the gate?
Yes, they are outside the gate. These are the only 2 visible at the moment.
Alright, well, I'll bring
I think I was actually the one... I think I was, yeah. I made the handling check at the end of last session, so I guess I'm the one still steering. Right. So
you handle the horses, and I will handle the guards.
Alright, I bring them to a halt.
Okay, my first impressions.
Alright.
Looking at the guards.
So you want to make an insight check on them?
Insight check.
Okay.
Well, that's a natural one.
Oh.
I have no clue.
They are... Their faces are stony impassiveness to you.
Yeah. They could be mannequins for all I know. Alright.
Yes, their expressions are wooden, and then you realize you're actually just looking at the wall.
Did they say anything?
They say, halt! Who goes there? Announce your business.
We are stopped, and we want to get in.
Okay.
Why are the gates closed? This is early. Most towns don't close the gates usually till dusk.
Can I just ask for a general charisma check?
My second one. No, I rolled an 18, minus 1, which is 17.
So that's very good.
Yep.
Which means they're not reacting to you with any real suspicion at the moment.
Okay.
Which is probably what you're going for.
Well, I don't want to start my first few moments off in this new town, with guards pointing things at me that are sharp.
Well, they do have spears, and they do have a short sword at their hip as well. They're wearing chainmail, you notice, as one of the guards coming up towards us. The other one remains at the gate. The one talking to you says, I suppose you haven't heard about the current incidents. Since then, it says, the gates are just being opened and closed and watched more regularly now.
No, this is our first time here to Vyrn's Run, right? This is what this place is called?
He says, yes.
Well,
you notice that he is just looking over the cart as he goes around. They
said, this is not our wagon if you're interested. Would you like to buy a wagon? Hopefully cruising on the 18 I rolled.
It was a 17 once you took the modifier into account. But yes. He says, this is not your wagon.
No,
he says he seems to be latching on to that bit of a statement.
Do I see any kind of glint in this? I know I rolled a 1, but...
You can roll a fresh insight check now that you're talking to him.
No. I went up a few spaces. 5 plus 1 is 6.
Yeah, you're still...
It's wisdom, right?
It is wisdom based, yes.
Okay. 6.
One moment. Maybe I noticed something. Well, that's a total of 20, so that's better.
Okay, better than 6.
Yeah. But I'm also not in this conversation at the moment, so we'll just let that go on for the moment. So you were just...
sorry.
Sorry, yes, you were saying to him?
I said we ran into some ruffians on the road who apparently have abducted some young ladies from their homes, and we are currently going to nice, well, hotel, and get them back to where they belong instead of the lives that they're going to end up leading.
Okay. You notice absolutely nothing with that insight check on him, but
Yeah.
he says, well, there are all sorts of unsavory characters on the road these days. He says, nevertheless, I see no reason not to let you in. He says, open the gate! He shouts over. And,
Quick question before we go.
Okay, the gates are opening, but yeah.
Why are the gates being closed? You said there's an incident, but what? Any more specifics than that?
He says, yes, a quite unsavory crime has occurred within the village.
Anything more specific than that?
He says, grave robbing.
Oh, horrible. Okay. Well,
As you hear him say grave robbing, a memory stirs in your mind of a similar occurrence that's happened to us recently. Not too long ago, about bodies that went missing.
Yeah, but they weren't buried yet.
No. But that does just stir that in your mind as you remember that.
Yes.
And that cart was heading in this general direction.
I can't imagine a giant of a creature carrying a wagon full of bodies went into this town unnoticed. But
No.
then again...
But it is just something you remember as he mentions grave robbing.
Alright.
Alright, the gates are open and we're allowed in now.
Alright, let's trundle on past.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I ask him as we go by, is there an inn nearby?
Yes, you'll find it just on the inside of these gates.
Thank you. And off we go.
Okay. As we enter the village, I would like you, Vyrn's Run, I would like you to roll a perception check for your first real view of things.
Well, now I roll a natural 20.
Now you roll the natural 20. Okay. It is a sprawling city. You could fit Lakeside into here 3 or possibly 4 times over.
So we are bumpkins in the big town, trying not to gawp at everything we see.
Which is not the case from the people who are going by as we come in. We are clearly a spectacle of some sorts, new arrivals, and everyone is looking in our direction. But because you rolled a nat so high, you also notice in the distance that we are just... It's just a distant, tall building, almost like a tower, or just a building with a tower attached to it. Further into the city,
Yep.
you see the glint of glass catching on basically the sun that hasn't set yet.
Yep.
And based on the distance and with your very high perception roll there, you think someone is looking through a spyglass or a telescope in our direction of our arrival.
Am
Sorry?
I familiar with that sort of a device?
Are you familiar with that sort of device?
Yeah. We came from a plateau in the middle of nowhere. I know we are, well trained in verses of magic, but have we heard of telescopes?
It would, yes, there would be. Likely there would have been some that you've seen. Ren would have likely had one, and possibly so would have the members of the Watch, possibly.
Alright. Okay.
So-
I was just curious because, technology is, not necessarily everywhere.
Alright,
Okay. Someone's spying on us. We've been here like 4 seconds. Okay.
our arrival has been noticed. And we do hear
A bit premature of me.
And we do
but
hear at this point the gates behind us closing.
Okay. I have an owl.
You have an owl, which is why you have advantage on that.
Yep. And I'm going to give my owl, ask her to fly to that tower at a reasonable height. And while we're parking our vehicle,
Yep.
let's say a valet parking, I will look in her eyes as she goes and does a little circle and comes back.
Okay.
What do I see at this tower?
Please roll a stealth check for your owl. This is an urban setting. Owls are not as common.
Total of 19.
That is very good.
up.
Alright.
I'm sitting on the
Yep.
cart with my hat over my eyes, and I'm concentrating on looking for Vyrn.
So you slip into the magic trance, lets you perceive your owl's senses.
Yep.
Alright.
As you park.
Yep.
Good thing you're driving.
As your familiar flies in the direction of the tower, you do get to see the window is open, and there is definitely a man with a telescope there, looking in our direction.
Yep.
He looks like somewhere between a man somewhere not quite middle-aged, but has lost some of his youth by looks of it.
Yep.
So you'd probably put him somewhere in his mid-30s, until you notice that with just going off the perception check you rolled earlier, you also notice that he has some elven features, mostly slightly longer ears.
Under for all I know. Okay. I'm going to try and
he does have a
commit to memory that what he looks like.
Okay, well, you do notice that he has a short beard. He has slightly longer hair than some humans have.
Yep.
And obviously notice the elvish ears. And the other thing you notice is that he definitely notices your familiar flying up.
Wow, a 19 stealth check. That's impressive.
He only beat it by 1, but he did beat it.
Alright. Seeing how I noticed that he noticed,
Yeah.
instead of having my owl fly back,
Yeah.
I'm going to have her pop out.
Okay, so you unsummon your familiar, which means you also stop perceiving through her senses. So the last thing you see is him taking the spyglass and looking in the direction of your familiar, and that's it.
Yep.
Alright.
So, I'll pull my hat back up over my eyes, and are we being greeted by any kind of groom or anything? Because we have horses and a wagon.
Alright, so we are just basically parked on the street at the moment, where we...
Oh, is there stables attached to this? I don't know. This is our first time here. Is there stables attached to this place?
So we're talking about so basically, in the time it's taking you to go you're able to fly there and you to perceive her senses and come back, I've located what I suspect is the tavern that he was referring to. It is somewhat larger than the Tealeaf Tavern, which means it probably is an inn as opposed meaning that lots of people would stay there because there was no real need for spare rooms in the Tealeaf Tavern in Lakeside because everyone had a house.
Okay.
And yes, there is a stables there.
Right. I'm going to hop down off the wagon,
Yeah.
and I'm going to find someone who is in charge of this place and
Right.
try to make some arrangements.
You also, as you approach, see a sign declaring the inn's name.
Oh, okay. What's it called?
Okay. The sign has its name and has a bird in flight underlining the title of the name. And it is called the Whippoorwill.
Oh, okay, cool. I like whippoorwills.
That was such a waste of a joke. It's like...
Yeah, it's a flying whippoorwill.
Yes, I know. I was so looking forward to seeing your reaction. It's so underwhelming here.
Yes, well, not everybody plays Magic the Gathering, I guess. They don't
No, but you do!
Yes. They don't know that whippoorwills don't fly in Magic the Gathering. Okay, I'm gonna go in, I guess. Into the inn.
Alright, so you enter the Whippoorwill on your own, basically.
Yes. What do I see?
Well, once you're inside, it is definitely inn and definitely a tavern because despite the fact they all have different layouts, they all look very much the same in some ways.
Bar, tables.
Yep. Bar, tables, stairs leading up to the room, and you do see a numerous people who are clearly patrons and people who are clearly staff members.
Yep.
There are 2 at the bar currently, and there are 4 wandering around, basically just being waiters and waitresses, basically.
Okay, it's usually the guy or girl behind the bar that's in charge, so I'm gonna go up to the bar.
Well, there are 2 people behind the bar, and there is a man and a woman.
Okay, does either of them address me as I approach?
They both look in your direction as you approach. These are 2 people who are not of the common peoples that you've noticed, but
Alright.
you have seen Dragonborn before, which is why you realize that the
Relatively recently.
yes, a female green-scaled Dragonborn is stood there, and by her side is a very tall man with stone gray skin and absolutely no hair.
Stone gray skin. Do I know what this race is?
You've probably heard tell of them, but I would like you to roll basically a nature check.
A nature check. Alright.
That's intelligence based.
2
Sorry?
2 plus 4.
2 plus 4, 6. It's high enough to probably that Ren did his job to try and explain the various people's world. This man is a Goliath.
Wow.
And he is exceptionally tall. He is...
I look up and I say, wow, you're nice and tall, and I love the shine of your scales, I say to her. Miles will flatter them.
Okay.
With my charisma, I need all the help I can get.
Alright. So I assume you go up to them and...
Yes, I explained that we have some guests for you. I would like to rent... Well, first off, how many rooms do you have available currently?
She says we currently have 4 rooms available. She says, my name is Akra, I'm the owner, and this is Vothak. He's the bartender and problem solver, she says. By which you think she probably means bouncer.
Well, no one's going to argue with him.
Yep. Yeah, no, he's exceptionally tall, well over, probably approaching 8 feet tall.
Wow.
And
well,
is...
he's 2 feet taller than me.
Yeah. And quite muscular, so you think, yeah, he's probably got a very high strength.
Okay, well, seeing how I don't. I say, I'm going to lower my voice a little bit and talk to her and say, we ran into some unsavory gentlemen on the road and have liberated some would-be slaves. And I want to set them up in a room or two. One of the thief girls probably already left.
Yes, and you don't know about Alvin either, because... Actually, you don't know about anyone at the moment because you're inside. So
we have 4, so I think we need 2 rooms and 1 for us. So we need 3 rooms. Good thing you have 4.
Yeah.
I would like to rent 3 rooms for, well, foreseeable future, I guess. I don't know how long this is going to take to get them situated and get them on their way home.
Alright. I'm just going to ask you for just a general stealth check to see how quiet you are being. This isn't going to be a hard check because this is a tavern.
Well, I do have stealth.
But there are some people who might listen in.
That'll be a 15.
Okay, with that you are reasonably certain that only Akra and Vothak are listening to you.
And what was... I'm going to also see if I can discern what kind of response she is getting.
No insight check is required here. They are both... they are both basically displaying their emotions. They're not pleased to hear this, but it's not entirely surprised. They seem happy to find out that someone has dealt with this a little bit. Akra says she's more than willing to help.
Cool.
And that...
I need 2 rooms for the girls, room for myself and my companion, and food, and I'm sure they're going to need baths. And also,
yes.
While I have talking to you, I need a haberdashery, a place I can buy clothing for them.
She says that she knows she has a friend who's a seamstress who can probably provide them with clothing. She can take care of that part, she says. It's
Alright.
easy enough to
So
handle.
for all these wonderful services, including some food for myself and my friends, what will this cost me?
You're fairly certain at this point that that this is quite the unusual thing you're asking for. This is not the every day they're required to suddenly clothe, house, and feed. Well, it does not clothe. Liberated slaves.
It is
Yeah. Akra's asking for just a gold piece to cover everything.
All right, that's acceptable.
Yeah.
There, I got a pen here. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you kindly.
She says, you hear her say, "On, Hope." She says into the end.
Do you have like a more unobvious?
We have a back door, yes.
Yeah,
She says,
thank you. Because it is rainy.
It does go through the kitchen, but they can't be helped.
They're not wearing a whole lot, and I don't
Yes.
really want to, cause too much of a stir.
All right. In response to those names being called out, the two waitresses come up. One is human, and one is a tiefling.
Ah, cool.
Which is I think it's quite possible this is the first tiefling we've encountered.
Yes.
I don't think we've run into another one.
No. But I love all the races, so.
You also would know that Hope is likely the tiefling because tieflings have a habit of what is known as virtue names, basically, as in basically just eschewing the normal names of their people in exchange for something like hope, chastity, prudence, gesture, that sort of thing.
There's a few name drops there.
Why not?
Alright,
and she's explaining the situation to them, and she's going to basically send them out to the cart and bring the.
Oh, and also they're not our horses. It's not our wagon. We have no use for them. Is it possible that I can barter a couple of horses and a wagon for part of our? Or do you have use for them, or do I need to sell them somewhere else? I know a horse is worth way more than a gold piece.
Yes. So what are you asking them? Because this is an unusual thing you're asking now.
Well, they're being very nice to me.
Yes.
So instead of paying them a gold piece, I would like to give them 2 horses.
Well, they have a stable, so the horses are not going to be a problem. The cart, on the other hand, admittedly is unmarked, but it is evidently, with its barred windows and its reinforcements, is probably is pretty obvious it's used for something less than savory.
So, anyway, if not, that's fine.
They'll take the horses, but they'll probably have to think of some way to get rid of the cart.
It could be a refit.
Yeah.
I mean, what is a horse worth? 5, 10 gold pieces, depending on its shape?
Usually more. A good riding horse. This is technically not a riding horse. This is probably a pack horse or a cart horse.
Yeah.
What?
Or a Clydesdale.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact price, but I'm pretty sure it's like 20-25 gold.
So I'm offering them
each.
At least 50 gold here instead of 1 gold.
Yes. So this is just. Obviously, they'll be willing to accept this, but they are also probably taking into account they're going to have to do something about the cart.
Yeah, I mean.
So your attempt
the prior owners may, be a problem.
Well, the literal prior owners of this cart are dead. So whoever their employers are might be concerned. So if this is your attempt to avoid paying a gold piece, you probably succeeded.
Well, it's not really that.
But it's also probably a bit. It's a bit more trouble than they like to deal with, so it's probably not as much favor as you could hope for.
Yeah.
But you seem to have managed this fine.
Yeah, and it's a problem. I don't mind those paying the gold pieces.
Okay. It seems to be being taken care of. So, On and Hope head out.
Yep. And I will go back out and inform you, and
they also take a blanket, effectively.
Yeah. And what about Thief Girl?
Alright, so when you come out...
Trying to remember her name. Giella, that's her name.
Well, she didn't tell us her name. I don't think.
Oh.
I certainly did not ask.
Well, alright.
I have decided she is more trouble than she is worth. gone. Alvin is still here.
Hey, Alvin.
And between him, myself, and On and Hope, we are basically attempting to cover the girls up with the blankets that have been brought out.
Yep.
And trying to discreetly get them around back. It's probably not working.
Well, we can take the wagon around back.
Yes, we can get it out, and we got the wagon in the stables.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of people watching that. I'm just going to tell you now, it's probably a very good chance that someone has caught sight of this.
I'm going to try and do an insight check on the crowd. I know it's kind of a dumb thing.
Alright, that's an unusual check, but you can make it.
I want to see if anyone in that crowd is actually more interested than I thought they should be considered.
This will be a high DC, considering you're trying to insight check individuals in a crowd.
Oh, I know. It's probably a pipe dream, but here we go. Never mind.
Well, it's not a second natural 20 by the look on that face. What is it?
Total of 4.
Yeah, this is a lot of strangers in a strange town in a strange situation. You're not sure.
Well, I gotta start throwing firebolts at them to get them out of the way, so don't worry about it.
Okay. Alright. So, they are taken around back. We gave them the money that we decided to split them up with, alright?
Yeah, I would like to tell them, look, we're gonna get you clothing.
Yes.
We gave you some money, and I'm sure there are some coaches for hire in town, so that you guys can get back to your lives.
Okay. So, they get taken around in through the back, which leads to the kitchen.
Yep.
And apparently there is a staircase leading up to the rooms as well.
Alright.
Alright, so that leaves the three of us in the stables currently.
I'm gonna turn to Alvin and say,
We were also given another tarp to throw over the wagon, the cart basically, which we do.
yeah, disguise it, hide it, whatever it is.
Yeah, okay.
Ask Alvin, so are you gonna go hook up with your friends, or are you hanging around for a little while longer?
He says, yeah, I'm probably going to head off and try and find out how they're doing.
Alright.
He says, Betha looked a little shook after what happened. I'm not entirely sure what has happened in my absence. They'll probably be relieved to see me, though.
Yeah. Well, it was a pleasure. Hopefully we'll run into you again.
Alright.
Man.
Alright, he shakes her hand, and he heads off.
Alright. That leaves us.
That leaves us in the stables with, late in the evening, with rain, which is actually picking up a little bit.
Alright, let's go inside, eat.
Okay.
Maybe get a hot bath, because it's been 2 weeks in the woods.
I do have prestidigitation.
I'm sure we're quite right.
I have prestidigitation. I can
True enough.
clean and freshen us if you want.
Yep. Alright, let's go eat.
Alright. So we do go... There are free tables, and we're given one to sit at.
Yep. And, yeah, it's going to have a nice, good meal.
Yep. Alright, so we order our food and drinks.
Yep.
Which is... well, basically, we're going to be brought food. We're not sure what it is at the moment.
Is there a menu?
No, there usually is not.
It's just hot food.
Yes, and especially since it's later in the afternoon approaching evening, which means we technically probably missed supper. It's probably stuff that's going to be being reheated, most likely.
Alright, that's fine. If it tastes good, I'm okay.
Obviously, a large number of the patrons are looking in our direction because, well, something very unusual just happened. And after a stranger walked into this tavern.
Well, I'm going to sit at a table, prop my staff up against the wall, put my conical hat on top of that, sit down.
Ah, the subtle approach.
The subtle approach. And then I'm going to eat.
Alright. Well, in the time where we wait, our drinks, our ciders are brought around.
Yep.
While we wait for the food, you actually do look around and you can see the other two, because On and Hope left, the two remaining waiters, a human and a half-orc, are busying themselves out of it because they just lost half the staff, half of their staff, basically.
Quite the metropolis so far of different races. That's excellent. A lot different than where we came from.
Yes. You also notice a large number of more cosmopolitan in the group. Just the various patrons. You see a bunch of people. You see elves, you see dwarves, you see gnomes, you see halflings, you see tieflings.
People are in here.
Huh?
How many people are in this place?
There's probably close to 30 in here at the moment.
Wow. That's impressive.
Three things catch your eye, which is, one, there's a group of about half a dozen children sat in a circle around by the fire. There's what looks to be an older woman of a very exotic race. You know them. This is a firbolg.
Oh.
And which are sort of like tall, kind of slightly. I'm not sure if bovine's the right word or cow-like. I'm not entirely sure how to describe them.
Well, I wouldn't call her a cow to her face.
No, I mean, like, that's the thing, but it's like, I'm not quite sure how to describe a firbolg. They're usually seen as people with possible giant heritage to them. Not unlike Goliath, so of different sort, and they do tend to have fur, which probably ties into their name.
Is she entertaining the children?
She seems to be... her role here seems to be that some sort of storyteller. You notice that she actually is not so much a uniform here, but that she is clearly someone who is quite comfortable in the tavern, and it looks like, based on the reactions of the other staff, she probably does work here.
Okay.
And there are two other individuals of note. And both of them, based on as soon as you see them, are clearly adventurers of some sort.
Okay. Why?
Well, one is a human, an older man, with dark hair, which is graying. He looks like he's approaching his late 50s.
Alright.
And he has a salt and pepper style hair, which is drawn back into a ponytail, actually.
Alright.
You notice he's wearing what looks like military regalia under what is a brown leather coat.
Okay.
And by his side, he has, basically just leaned up against the wall right beside him, is a rune-inscribed longsword in a scabbard.
Okay.
He
thought I was being obvious with a staff and a hat.
Yeah. He has a pipe which he's smoking.
Yep.
And he has what looks like a game board in front of him, and there are pieces move around. You recognize this as a dragon chess set, which is basically the same as chess. It's just slightly the pieces are modeled after dragons.
Right.
And as you're looking over, you see him just put more tobacco into his pipe, and you see him whisper something and make a gesture, and you see it light.
Okay.
So clearly this is someone with some magical talent.
Parlor tricks.
The other individual is also a man, but clearly not human. And he's wearing fur clothing, and what stands out about him is his skin is a pale blue. And you notice that there is some similarity to his skin tone to mine, except whereas mine is a deep sea blue with some slight greenish tinge, his is the blue of a clear sky, and his dark hair brings to mind storm clouds, and you actually do see it occasionally just catch on a wind, which doesn't seem to be here at all.
Genasi.
And he is also, in addition to the fur clothing he's wearing, he has a pair of scimitars at his belt.
Yeah, is he playing dragon chess with the other guy?
No, he is not. He's setting off to the side. The man playing dragon chess appears to be playing against himself.
Oh. Maybe I'll have a game with him later. Right now I want to eat.
Yeah, the Air Genasi, you note, is unlike the human, who clearly has some armor as a part of his regalia, the fur clothing he's wearing is not armor. It is just cloth. It's just fur, basically, yeah, for clothing. So those are the ones that catch your eye, and it's at this point that our meal is brought up.
Hey, I eat.
It is a stew of some sort.
What a surprise. Well, I didn't have to cook it.
There is meat in there, and it tastes heavily of a variety of herbs, some of which you do recognize.
Right.
And there is some bread served with it. It's not an unpleasant meal, especially since we've been eating basically rations for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, hardtack and salted meats and cheeses and stuff. Yes. Alright. Who brought food?
This would be the human. And he brings it up.
So the smallest denomination of money I have is a silver piece, right? I don't have any copper.
As far as I'm aware, you haven't ever mentioned having copper pieces.
Well, that's just it. I don't think we found any.
No.
Is the food good? I'll tip them a silver piece.
Okay, that's quite good. It's the stew is somewhere between. Well, basically, it's somewhere between a soup and some sort of paste. You imagine that's been heated up. But it's thick.
Great, I'm eating gruel.
It's not gruel. It tastes quite good, but it does look less than appetizing. But it tastes good.
Alright. I tip them anyway.
Yeah. So,
Do you like it?
see, what, does he like the food or the silver?
The silver piece.
He is
13.
He is quite pleased to be tipped the silver piece.
That's probably a week's wages for him.
And he walks off.
Yeah.
Yes, you do recognize. There's the stew is good.
Right.
It doesn't look all that appetizing, but it is.
I drink some cider.
Yeah.
After we've been here a few moments, I had a chance to eat. Is anyone still paying attention to us? Besides that ravenous dog I hear barking.
You can make a perception check if you want. It's still rather busy in here. It's dying down a little bit now. But
Alright, I'm going to... Nah, I'm not going to do that. Never mind.
people are either clearing out or are getting drunk.
Well, I rolled a 19, and I have a +1, so
Yep.
I have a 20.
That's quite good.
Perception.
So the staff, as far as you can tell, are all busying themselves about that. Anne and Hope are back now, you notice, so clearly they've gotten that taken care of. Though Accra has wandered off. Probably to go see to that.
Anybody...
Most of the patrons are either engrossed in finishing up the meal they have, the children are engrossed in the story, and there's quite a few people who are heavily imbibing alcohol at this point. So the only ones who are paying any real attention to us at all are those two adventurers that I mentioned. And even then, it's mostly just occasionally glancing over, and it's mostly the human who's paying attention to us. You do notice him taking in some of our belongings, mostly our staves, and he catches the wand at in your holster, and sees my component pouch. You see him clearly weighing out the fact that we are magic users of some sort.
Alright, so fed, watered.
Yes.
Get
Another thing you do notice with that perception check, this is unrelated to what you're asking for, but there is indeed basically a notice board for all intents and purposes, not a blackboard or anything, just by the door where there are notices nailed up.
Alright.
It is out of the way of the wind and rain, so it's not ruined, but it is there. It's something you notice.
So I'm gonna pick up my staff, just leave my hat attached to it. I'm gonna casually go over to the human
Okay.
and say, I see you're playing Dragon Chess with yourself. Would you like a real opponent? Or, well, I'm not very good, but I
Yes.
wouldn't mind trying a game.
Because I'm just going to point this out. For some reason, Dragon Chess is considered a tool proficiency. I don't know why.
Really?
It is. It's on his character sheet.
Well,
So you do not have that proficiency, so no.
do not. I assume it's an intellectual game, so I should have at least a little bit of chance at this.
Alright, so you are basically asking to sit down at his table?
Yeah, I asked him to sit down. Do you mind if I sit here and we can play a game?
He nods and has you invites you to sit down.
Yeah.
He does not stop smoking his pipe, by the way.
I don't care. Unless it's some sort of funny tobacco.
It is some sort of tobacco.
Not wacky tobacco.
I don't know what that means, but no.
Marijuana.
No.
So
This is the Tolkien version of pipeweed.
Alright. That's fine. I play him a game.
Alright, so you want to make a check for this.
Yeah.
So this is just a straight intelligence check for you.
Alright. Just one roll?
Oh, we'll start there, yeah.
We'll start there. 40 rolls later. Alright, my first move, or whatever it is. Time for me to use my first feat, because I don't want to lose this game that fast.
You're using luck on this? Boy, you know it's late in the day when he's wasting his luck points on games of, well, skill, I suppose.
Oh, there we go. My first move is not a natural 20, but a dirty 20.
So what was the roll? I'm just curious, what was the roll beforehand?
3. So this is much better.
Well, he rolled altogether an 8, which I think if you had not used your luck point would have mean you two would have been tied.
So I am.
No, wait, you'd have been at 7. He would have won.
Yeah.
So you take an advantage in the early game.
Yep.
Right. Are you taking this opportunity to converse with him at all? Yes.
So I really like the look of your accoutrements. I just glanced at the sword as I'm saying that.
Alright, so you're looking at the sword and not his military regalia?
Yeah, just kind
Okay.
well, just looking at it in general.
Okay.
Looks like you're a man of the world.
He says, I am. I've been traveling around on my own for quite some time. He says,
That's quite the feat to be able to travel by yourself in this crazy world we have.
my work often requires me to pursue individuals of a certain type, great distances, and I just tend to work better alone in that regard.
Ah, bringing those who need to be brought to justice in.
Yes. He says, alright, so if you want to continue the game, now is where we make a next roll.
Alright, I will roll again.
Oh, good grief.
Alright, I don't want to show off too much. I'm going to just leave that as it is. 10 total.
Yeah, that's one one better than he did. He got a 9. His
so
die is rolling really badly.
I'm trying to make friends with this guy, not
Yes.
just trounce him into the dirt.
So the game starts approach more of a stalemate position at the moment with that roll. You are still maintaining your lead, but it is definitely closer now.
Alright.
He says, I see that you are a practitioner of magic. He says.
Yep. How are you? I noticed you lit your pipe without the use of tinder and paper or whatever.
Yes. He says, looking over, he says, I don't... He's just looking over your attire. He says, you do not seem to take to the usual attire most spellcasters wear. He says, I don't see any insignia or other markings. He says, most magic academies tend to give their graduating members some form of insignia.
Well, I'm a freelancer.
He says, alright. And roll again if you want to continue, unless you have something more to say.
I have a question for him.
Alright.
Knowing what you have alluded to in your profession, did you notice how we came here?
He says,
I want to do an insight check.
I am actually going to see if you did notice. Okay, you can roll it. What do you want?
Never mind.
What do you roll?
5.
5. Okay. He says, "No, I did not notice your. I noticed you enter the tavern, but that was about it."
We ran into some unsavory gentlemen on the road.
He says, "There are a great many of them."
Trying to enslave some young ladies from the local villages around here.
You see him shudder in disgust.
So yeah, we were.
Even with that insight roll, you can tell that.
Alright. So anyway, they won't be slaving anymore.
Good, he says.
That was my next roll.
Next game? Okay, next roll for the game. And now he rolls better. Sorry?
15.
He rolled an 18, so he starts to pull ahead here.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yep. You're losing ground now.
Yes, I noticed. That's alright. I'm not that egotistical. I may use more luck, though.
Yes.
Okay, well, we're relatively new here, as in we've been here, what, an hour or two at this point?
At this point, probably an hour after we ate, yeah.
I noticed you are familiar with magic. Do you know anywhere in town where we can pick up supplies? Is there
This is not a roll for the game. This is something else. I'm just seeing if that's better. And he says, I did pass by I did happen upon a store not too far by. Sorry, not nearby. He says it was Kettle Whistle's Curiosities. He has some good things on supply that perhaps the aspiring magic user might be interested, and perhaps one or two things that an actual professional might be interested in. He says, after I acquire some coin, I might make a purchase there. He says it's. He points out the door. He says just have to head, almost straight ahead down the road, off the main road there.
definitely check that out.
It is not hard to miss.
Not hard to miss?
As we said, it's not hard to miss.
Okay. Never mind, I won't laugh at him.
Why?
It'd be hard to miss.
Not hard to miss, he said. Yes.
Never mind.
Never mind. He doesn't seem...
I will try and do better on my next roll.
Alright. We're nearing the end of this game now. Oh boy. That's good.
I'm going to roll, use another luck point.
Another luck point? Go ahead.
Oh, another luck point. I'm out of luck today.
That's all three. Wow.
That's a 3.
At least this wasn't that one time you wasted all your luck points on that Ettercap roll.
15 is the end result of that.
15 is your end result. He has a 25.
Oh, good God. So in the end, he trounces me.
You are backed into a corner. You haven't lost yet, but it's looking quite bad. It's going to take something quite good to get you out of this. There's probably going to be... The next roll will either decide if you stay in the game or not.
Alright, let's get to it right now.
Okay?
Oh, there we go, that's better. 22.
24.
Ah!
That's a good enough roll that you are able to stay in the game, though.
We're still in it?
You're still in it, but your position isn't much better. You had to sacrifice a few pieces to stay in the game at that point.
Alright, again! 16.
It's a total of 19. I'm afraid with that final roll, that is enough for him to get victory, and it isn't checkmate.
Well, I thank him very much for the conversation. I shake his hand and thank him for the game. We're going to be here for a little while. Are you sticking around in town, or are you off on business?
He says, at the moment, I'm merely looking for work. He says, looking over the notes board. I may take a task. He says that there was that grave robbing I heard about. He says there's always a chance that there's a necromancer involved in that needing to be put down. He says...
Yeah, we're going to look for some work, too.
He says, apart from that, he says, there was that baron, a local is baron. He says with some sarcasm in his voice. Looking for soldiers, I believe, but that is, from what I understand, slightly more long term.
Not something we're interested in. Alright. Maybe we'll meet you if we decide to help out that job too.
As you're about to head off, you realize you haven't even asked this man's name yet.
Oh. How remiss of me. As I'm shaking his hand and say, by the way, my name is Jonas.
He says Aldrich. He says, officer of the White Knights of Lyria.
What did he say?
He says Aldrich is his name. He says he is an officer in the White Knights of Lyria, which is a name we've heard before.
Yeah.
Yes. You roll intelligence check if you want to try and recall where it's from.
I'm going to have to. Oh, I remember Lyria. Yes, we found that journal.
Yes. And the insignia on the research facility that we found on the plateau mentioned Lyria.
Hold on a sec. I'm going to see if I'm pretty sure I'm still carrying that. No, we just have the documents from that.
Yes. There was a journal from an agent that infiltrated that facility that we have.
Yes, we have the journal from the agent. Was the agent also from the White Knights?
You didn't hear any mention of the White Knights. You just knew that, based on what you've recalled, Lyria was a word that was inscribed on the door to gain access to that. So there was no mention of the White Knights.
When he mentions that, I say, would you happen to have any knowledge of an individual by the name of Valley?
Sorry?
Valley, V-A-L-I. I was pretty sure the guy with the journal. He says I wrote it down anyway.
He does not seem to understand what you're talking about. And to complicate matters further, neither do I.
Hold on a sec. Check this. Where are we? Yes. The V-A-L-I journal.
Alright.
Alright, maybe that's just a different thing.
1 second.
Oh, sorry. No, wrong one. My bad. This is a journal from the Papelsag guy. The symbol of Papelsag.
Oh, Papilsag. Okay, this is the journal. So, yeah, Volley was the wizard in the party. That's where that's from. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. No.
Wrong journal. We picked up a few of these.
Journal.
So he does not.
Failed agents written down.
Yeah, he does not remember that name. So.
Was there a name? Sorry, in the journal? Like, do I know who the journal is from?
There was no mention of a name, and that journal was pretty worn, so we had difficulty making out some of the words.
Okay, I thank him. Maybe we'll run into each other again. I enjoyed the game. And if you're going to be in town, maybe we can have another one.
Okay.
Albert.
That was indeed what he said.
Alrighty. I'll go back to the table. And
Alright.
that's it. After you've done eating by now, right?
Oh, yes.
It says, I was talking to the gentleman there. Aldrich's his name. He's part of the White Knights of Lyria, which is interesting.
Yes, that was from on the door on the facility we found.
Yep.
I think we did look in the atlas we found, and there was indeed a city called Lyria in there.
Well, we've had a day, so I think maybe we should check that notice board out first.
It says,
And then,
in case you're wondering, while you were over there, I had him distracted somewhat. I decided to cast Detect Magic.
Oh. And did he light up like a bright candle?
That sword lit up.
Yeah, I can imagine. What about the air genasi?
He's a bit further. He's outside. I think he's outside the spell's range.
Is your spell still going?
Lasts for 10 minutes. Yeah.
Well, that game took longer than 10 minutes, I assume.
Yeah, so it lasts for 10 minutes. So I assume it's run its course at this point.
Okay. Never mind.
So we go to the notice board. It is literally, like, full of notices. Like, there's tons of them nailed there, and some of them are overlapping. The good news is they're only nailed to the board in one spot, so you can lift one up to look underneath. But there's a lot here.
I'm gonna have a quick perusal.
Okay. This isn't...
One of the things I want to check out for sure, though, is, and I noticed it, about the grave robbing.
Okay.
Because it seems to be something that everyone seems to be talking about.
If you want to look for that specifically, it doesn't take you too long to find that there's at least 4 notices here that stand out. If you want to start with the grave robbing, we can start there. Alright,
Sure.
the notice is literally titled Grave Robbing with an exclamation point. Quick action wanted. Again, with exclamation point. For the past several nights, a number of graves have been exhumed and the bodies interred within have been taken. For what foul purpose this crime has been committed is not known. However, anyone who can discover the perpetrators and bring them to justice will be rewarded.
Right.
Those seeking to deliver information on these disturbing events should report directly to the City Council.
Okay.
So that's the notice on that.
No actual value given to that
No,
reward. Alright.
not in this case, no. There is... The next one that catches your eye is Rat Catcher Wanted. Need urgent. And it's it says need... It's the urgent need is what gets you there. It says... Recently, many local businesses and residents have complained about the rise in the population of giant rats, as well as an increase in their ferocity. The town council is offering a reward for the resolution of this problem. A 200 gold reward is offered for the discovery and destruction of their nest. Also, a 10 gold bonus for each rat killed. In brackets it says, proof required for bonus.
Alright. That's not a small sum.
No,
Okay.
that's not unfamiliar territory for us. Dealing with monsters, I say, for money.
Monsters for money, that's kind of us.
Right. The next one, the third one, is Hunting Expedition. A chance for adventure and wealth. This one is a bit, has flowing script and you think has been written by someone a bit more official. Local hunters are putting together an expedition to hunt down a strange creature which has been spotted in the Vara Wastes. Due to the shortage of knowledge about this creature, the expedition will not be setting out immediately. The expedition will set out in 1 week's time in hopes during this time period the local hunters will gather all information needed on this creature. Anyone with information on said creature in the wastes is asked to report to the Hunters Guild.
Okay.
That also looks interesting, but it seems like it's not immediate.
And also not in town.
No, we did just get here.
Do I know where this waste is? Is it on our atlas?
We've not checked for that name before. So if you want to check now, you can.
Not this very moment, because I don't want to start pulling stuff out of my bag of holding in the middle of the bar, so
Okay.
I'll do that before we go to
I mean, pulling out a book from a bag is not exactly...
Yeah, but anyone who knows anything with magic may notice that has a bag of holding, so I'm just gonna...
Okay.
I'll wait.
And there's one last one that catches your eye, and then you remember your conversation with Aldrich. It says, Military campaign. Join the Silver Baron's army. It says, Corin Yilbim, also known as the Silver Baron, is recruiting able-bodied soldiers and mercenaries to serve in a campaign to liberate a fortified garrison to the north of Vyrn's Run, which has fallen to invaders. The reclamation of said fort is of great importance to security of Vyrn's Run. The army will take some time to muster. The expedition will set out at the end of the current lunar cycle.
Okay.
So those are the 4 ones that really catch your eyes, being work for adventurers.
Well, 2 of them kind of suit my interests. The other 2, not so much. But
Right.
they're also...
I ask you, which 2 exactly are catching your interest?
Well, I wouldn't mind checking the grave robbing, because we did see that giant of a guy hauling off bodies there not too long ago.
So, yes, this isn't the first time we've encountered bodies going missing.
Yeah. And as you said, we kill monsters for money, so... Rats.
That does seem like an easy task for us to a certain degree.
Well, the most important part of that is the first 2 that you mentioned are in town.
Yes.
We just live here.
Also, the last two we've found, the hunting expedition and the military campaign, are not setting out right away. There's a time delay on those.
Right.
So,
Alright.
those are the ones that stand out.
Cool. Let's head up to the room there.
Okay.
Make sure the girls are situated. And then I'll pull up the atlas and have a look where this wastes
Okay.
is.
Alright, so you take out the atlas.
Yep.
Please roll an investigation check. Because it is an atlas.
Investigation 23.
Yeah, it wasn't nearly that high, so yeah, that's fine.
Hey, something I can do is
Yep.
investigate.
I probably could give it to you with passive investigation, but I still want you to roll. So you do find the Vara Wastes. It is a large span of territory, basically to the southeast of Vyrn's Run. It looks like it's about 3 to 4 days travel. If it's going to be a hunting expedition, meaning a group of people will be traveling together, you probably estimate it's closer to 4 days travel to get there. It's a large territory as well, so you're not entirely sure what the odds are finding one creature, no matter how strange it is and what basically accounts to a wasteland that's about half the size of the plains that we saw off the plateau.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Also, I have no idea why they're hunting this poor thing down.
No,
So.
you do not. There's no details given. Also, you do indeed find Lyria on their wall searching.
Yes?
Yes.
Where's that?
It is... Well, basically, the good news is we headed northeast from where we were. Well, basically, the Vara Wastes are heading along the southeastern road, which leaves to Vyrn's Run. Lyria's in the other direction. Basically, it goes out the west and southwest, basically.
Alright.
So, to be fair, you actually do find both of them, and Lyria's further from Vyrn's Run. It's probably about a week and a half's journey on foot, you think. We just had so admittedly we did just do nearly 2 weeks travel, but
Yeah, just got here.
yeah, we just got here. But that answers your questions on those, I think.
Cool. With that,
Yes.
put the atlas away.
Yes.
I'm going to bed.
Yes, we've had a trying day, I say.
Can you set up the alarms? No sense in being lax about that at this point.
I will set my alarm spell, taking out my silver wire with the bell on it, over the door and the window. So we have both ways in covered.
And I will have my owl instructed to keep watch.
And Alice will curl up on my torso while I sleep and just keep watch.
I don't think we need to do watches like we were doing in the wilderness.
No, but our familiars can keep watch.
Yeah. So. And with that, our first night
Yes.
in a comfy bed in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. And it is an uneventful night, fortunately.
Right.
Yes, we get a long rest. We get our spell slots back.
Yep.
You get your luck points back. I get 2 new portents. And we can prepare new spells if we want.
I am.
Yeah. So we both are, yeah. Admittedly, we did this in advance of this session, but it's fine.
Just because it saves a bit of time.
Yes. Technically, I had to ritual cast Detect Magic for that because I didn't have it prepared at the time. But it was a long game, and I had nothing else to do.
So you pulled out a magic tome in the middle of a bar and ritual
I pulled out a leather journal. So, yeah.
Come on, it's a magic tome.
It's just a journal.
Anyway.
It doesn't have much ornamentation to it. But yes, then I did spend 10 minutes ritual casting a spell.
I want to go down,
Alright.
have breakfast, check on the girls, make sure they're properly clothed, make sure they're fed,
Yes.
then shopping.
Yes, I will be doing that. Alright, well, we come down to freshly baked bread this time, which actually smells quite good.
There we go. Now we're talking. Freshly churned butter too.
fresh butter. You don't know if it's been churned, but yeah.
Not all butter's
Yes,
churned.
but it's fresh.
Excellent.
It may not be freshly churned, but it's not. As in, it might have been churned a day or two ago, but still fresh.
Can I push my luck and ask for bacon and eggs too?
No bacon, they say, but they can do eggs if you want.
Alright, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. We're basically, between the two of us, are basically given a loaf of bread.
Yep.
Because we can divide that between the two of us.
Yep.
Butter, cheese,
Yeah.
and if you want eggs, they can do that up for you if you want.
Cool. Make myself an egg sandwich.
Yep, with butter and cheese. It is. There is nothing quite like the taste of freshly baked bread. I think you and I both agree on that. It's quite very.
I'm very happy with that.
Yeah.
So after that wonderful meal,
Yes.
I'm going. Oh, is Pat Aldrich's here?
You look around. You do not see him.
Right.
He might be sleeping in, or he might have gone out already.
Right.
Admittedly, let's see, we went to bed after sunset.
Oh yeah, I mean, we had a long sleep.
We had a long sleep, yeah, so we were tired. He probably would have gotten up before us because he didn't have our long journey here. We slept in.
Well, that's no problem. I am going to listen to his instructions to get to the magic shop, and let's go have a look, because that's the first place I really want to go.
Alright, so
Sorry, I take it that the girls are all fine, they're fed?
they are fine, yes. They are they have food, they have clothing, and they are working with Accra to try and find some way to get back to their village or find out their other situations. They thank us for our assistance, but they think they've had enough of the world of adventuring.
True enough. Alright, let's,
At least a few of them are probably heading back to their town, but you think you heard at least one possibly wanting to set up residence in Vyrn's Run.
well, we gave enough money.
Yeah. So they have enough gold and silver to be situated, so that's fine. We're not too concerned with them at the moment unless the slavers get wind of where they are.
Yeah, so that happens.
That could be a problem.
They're in a world of hurt.
But as the saying goes, we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it, because we have no clue where these slavers are.
Yes.
Apart from in this massive city, apparently. Somewhere.
They're not, advertising like storefront slavers.
Not based on how the guards in Accra and Aldrich all reacted. No.
Yes. So, well, that is for another moment.
Yes.
Right now, I'm going to go shopping.
Right. So, we are basically told to head straight from the inn down the first road we come to,
Yep.
which is basically just heading along the west road there.
Yep. So come in here.
Yeah.
Head this way, I assume.
Yes. Doesn't take us too long to find a store which is not very subtle in the fact that it's a magic shop.
Cool. What's it called again?
Kettle Whistle's Curiosities.
Alright. In I go.
Alright. We enter basically it is a magic shop. But the store is trying to call attention to the fact that it's a magic shop. There are arcane sigils and runes and stars and moons and that sort of thing, which we know don't mean anything, but are just meant to look fancy on the sign up front. And as we enter the store, it is lit mostly by candles and a fireplace, and it has a level of ambiance which is definitely intended to impress impress people who probably don't actually know how magic is done.
Alright.
This is somewhere between a practical magic store and something that you would probably see at a fair or in like an illusionist's
We're in the
store.
tourist trap. Oh crap. Hopefully there's some genuine stuff here.
Yes.
Alright.
So after you go by the dribbly candles and the skulls and the other paraphernalia, which are definitely all just on display, you realize.
Yeah. Okay.
You do see someone who stands out from all this, despite the fact that he is wearing a kind of a dark purple robe with stars and moons on it. That's the only thing, though, that really makes him look anything really like he would probably belong here. Apart from this, he looks like someone who would be quite comfortable in an armchair or in a... He's a halfling man. He is... Sorry?
Is it cool?
You do notice that, unlike Bree and her family, who are the halflings who spend most of your time around, he is actually wider and stout. You've heard of stout halflings who have a bit of dwarf blood in them, from what you hear from their ancestry. And you think this might be him. It makes sense. He doesn't fit the Lightfoot variety that Bree is. But he does greet us with a warm smile, and he is basically... true to the store's name, he has a tea kettle, and he is currently setting that up over the fireplace and taking tea to cook. He says, "Oh," he says, "customers." He says, "Oh, it's a bit early for that, but welcome to Kettle Whistle's Curiosities. I am Wendell Kettle Whistle, owner and proprietor."
I say in halfling.
A halfling? Yes, you do.
Thanks, Bree. I love the place.
He says, "Yes," he says, "I suppose it is perhaps a bit much, but
Just a bit.
he says, "but I felt like advertising a little." He says,
Well, like I said, I love the ambiance.
he says,
Hopefully it's got some substance to it, but we'll
Yes.
figure that out
yes.
after we get to know each other.
He says, looking us over, he says, "Yes," he says, he refers to the Countess. "Yes, I suppose among fellow wizards it's a bit much, I suppose, but still." He says, "This entertains the children."
Yes. Well, I suppose we should convert back to common for my friend here. Oh, by the way, my name is Jonas, and my friend here is Aquans. And we definitely would like to do business here, but first let's just sit down and have some tea and chat.
Well, the tea is going to take a little while, he says.
Yeah, it's boiling water, we can chat.
And he says,
Or does he want to get right down to business? I don't know, what kind of responses he got to that?
he doesn't mind waiting.
Alright, cool. So,
He says, there is actually a few armchairs around the fire. He says, "There's a few of my customers like to put their feet up and read or have some tea and just just generally take shelter from some of the vagaries of life in here."
yeah. Hey, reading, drinking tea, some of my favorite pastimes.
He says, "I don't recognize you two. You must be travelers." He says, "I'm on fairly well terms with the few magic users we have in Vyrn's Run." He says,
We are new to Vyrn's Run by less than a day.
New arrivals.
Yep, came in last night. So, yeah, we're definitely interested in acquiring some supplies, seeing what you have to offer.
Yes.
Plan on being your best customers.
Well, I have everything that most aspiring wizards could hope to need or want, I suppose.
Cool. So, can I have some tea
Yes. He serves tea to us.
and chat? How long has he been in town? No, sorry. How long have you been in town? Talk to him directly.
He says, "I've been in town, must be 20 years now."
Oh, wow.
He
So
says,
you're a definite permanent resident.
He says, "Yes, I didn't set up this shop right away. This shop's only about 15 years old. I was wondering exactly how to go about my business. I did try plying my craft and trade as an adventurer sort, but I didn't have what that took. He says, I also offered some magical services to the town council. He says, specifically to, one of the council members you'll probably meet here is Therian, who is also a wizard. He sought to employ me, but after a while I just decided politics wasn't for me either, and I decided to go into business.
If you don't mind me asking, your experiences with the town council, specifically, I guess, with Therian, positive?
More or less.
Well, ignoring politics, because
Yes.
politics is politics, and no one enjoys it, but for the most part, did you find the town council as more of a positive group, or are they out for their own good, or whatever, enriching their pockets?
Oh, probably a bit of all of what you just described, but they have ruled Vyrn's run relatively fairly. Referring to Therian himself, he's perfectly willing to endorse my little shop here, provided I occasionally accept his special orders that he puts in at a discount.
Alright.
He says, I suppose as some of the more officious and bureaucratic wizards go, he's fine.
Yeah.
He says,
Me and politics do not get along.
He says, well, neither do I. With them. But he was happy enough to take me under his wing when I was part of that world.
Alright. I'll have to keep an eye out for him. Maybe we can help you and him out.
So we sit drinking the tea. He also offers us what basically amount to cookies, almost. And,
well, I've had breakfast, so that's fine.
yeah.
A couple of sweets won't, be a problem.
These are basically shortbread cookies, so they're not quite as sweet. But
Alright, cool.
he says,
After the pleasantries.
says, yes, I suppose you do want to get down to business.
Yes. We are in the mood for shopping.
He says, yes. Well, I have a variety of magical paraphernalia for sale. It says scrolls, potions, artifacts, components, that sort of thing.
Excellent. And we have some money.
Yes.
We also have some items that might interest you, so...
Ah.
you make your own potions?
He says, yes, I do have some grounding in, well, more or less there's an unofficial, not really a guild in town, there's an unofficial group of alchemists who meet occasionally. He says, but I do have some grounding in an alchemy guild from Lyria nearby, which I do have some contacts with still. Helps if I ever want to get some more advanced scrolls or other ingredients or components that I need for sale.
Well, I'm very happy to meet a fellow alchemist. I might have some things that you may not have had access to. We came through that dark forest.
He says, oh, he says, oh, he says, he's basically, you see him trying to mentally realize that we came from there. It's like, oh, you must have come from quite a ways then. He says,
oh, yeah, quite a ways.
he says, I don't know much out that way. He says,
Not a lot of travelers out there, I'll tell you that. But I have acquired some interesting mushrooms that may pique your interest with some very interesting properties.
he says, oh, there's all sorts of interesting herbs and fungi that grow in that forest. So there's not many people willing to go out and procure them, but I do occasionally get some in.
Oh, okay. Maybe they're not as interesting as I thought they were then. But money is always good.
Alright. He says, well, what are you interested in? Let's start there. What are you looking for?
First and foremost is I have been working on creating a wand of magic missiles.
Do you take out the wand to show him?
Yep.
He says he just takes it for a second and goes, ooh, this is quite good. He says, yes. He says, Alright, this is almost nearing completion. I can see when I can tell when I'm dealing with someone who enjoys making something themselves. He hands it back to you. Says, I take it you're looking for the remaining components you'll need to finish that.
To activate it, yes.
Alright. Well, I assume you know the fact that in order to create this wand, you will need to know the spell yourself. Of course, most wizards do.
Yeah, not a problem.
Alright. He says, well, the good news is you've taken care of some of the cost of having to make that, so I can knock the price down somewhat. Alright, he says, well, if you're an alchemist, the easiest way to finish this is to basically brew an elixir and immerse the wand in it. Says we're going to.
I kind of figured, yes.
Says we're going to need. He says yes, and he starts looking around the shelves and starts grabbing some things.
Yep.
He pulls out a bag, which basically sounds like it's some sort of crystals or gems inside them. Puts that down and says, "I need this and that. All right, this solution should. All right, this is what we need." He starts taking out some gems and says, "I'll just grind these up while you wait." It's going to. Says. So he basically goes through the process. He basically just makes sure you understand the process need to finish this, which you, based on your research and the working you've already done, you're pretty sure you know how to do this, and he just doesn't really need to correct you much and just reaffirms what you need to do and make sure you understand this. All right. He says, after he finishes grinding up the gems and the dust, he says, all right. So these are all the ingredients you're going to need. Just follow the process I described there. It's very familiar to anyone well-versed in ritual magic. It says to brew the elixir.
How much would this cost?
It says, well, the normal cost for a wand of magic missile is 500 gold, but you've already done a good chunk of the work necessary. This is just the... So that does get rid of some of it. This is admittedly some of the more expensive ingredients you need. This is probably going to run about 300 gold pieces.
The other thing I'm interested in is I have some spells I would like to transcribe, so I need paper and ink necessary to do so.
Ah, yes, that's a very common one.
Yeah, I figure everybody wants that.
Yes, I imagine you and your friend both would like some. All right. Well, that, of course, the cost for that, of course, depends on what spells you are trying to copy and transcribe. So I can't do. So I'm going to just need to know a bit more specific about the spell, and then obviously I can fetch that for you.
Just want to get
yeah, he's just asking how much, basically.
How many can I buy of paper and ink? How many sheets and bottles of ink do you have that I can purchase?
He says, I have a substantial supply. Admittedly, you are not the only customers in town, though, so I do like to try and keep the stockpile, but how much are you looking to spend is the question.
How much is each of them?
Alright, well, basically, from what he says, usually, depending on how advanced the spell is, it goes by the amount of ink and paper required to transcribe a spell is 50 gold per spell level, he says, depending on how advanced the spell is.
Can I get 4 sheets? Enough ink to go with those? Then?
Yes.
200 gold pieces worth?
So, alright, so far your tab is up to 500 gold.
Yeah.
If you're, this, alright. He gets it out. Says yes. He rolls up the, basically all the paper and parchment you need into one, basically almost like, puts in a scroll case, puts it there, and then there are 4 inkwells put there.
Okay.
Alright, so that will be that.
The other thing I want to do is I need to do some research. I ran across some very nasty individuals in the Dark Forest, and one of the things I found there was an alchemy setup for making potions of heroism, but I don't know all the steps. I know some of it, and I have some of the ingredients, but I need to do some research to get the rest of the process,
all right.
and also figure out what the rest of the ingredients are. What would that set me back?
Alright, he says, he thinks about this. That's just the thing. He goes into the back and comes back out with a book.
Alright.
It says, "This is Viridian's Treatise on Herbs and Their Use in Alchemy. It is a very, very useful little book on various herbs and how to use them in alchemy, specifically in the brewing of magic potions and other substances.
Alright.
If I remember correctly," he says he just scrolls saying, yes. "The potions you're describing are described in here, and various formula and recipes used to brew it.
Okay.
This would probably be the best about this. This isn't a very... This book's not very hard to come by. It says, this is a spare copy I just happen to have. I'd be happy to part with this for 30 gold, he says.
I'll definitely take that.
Okay. So your tab so far is 530.
Yep.
Is there anything... Do you want to just pay for that first, or are you going to try and barter or anything to lower the price at all?
Well, you mentioned artifacts.
He says, yes, I have a variety of things. He says,
You're willing to part with.
yeah, he says, let's, he says, he opens, he takes a trunk and opens up. He says, this is, I try to keep some of the, he opens this, more easily taken, he says, things that can easily be taken off the shelves in this crate. He says, but these are some rather good magic items. He says, pulls out, this is a good one to start with. He pulls out what looks like a cap, basically. It's basically a hat. He says, this is an interesting thing. He says, not very many people want to buy it, though, which is why it's basically been chucked in storage for all intents and purposes. It says, this is, he says, it was known as a cap of water breathing.
Okay.
Hang on, just need to go to the right page, just so we... There. Yes. So while wearing this cap underwater, you can speak its command word to create a bubble of air around your head, which allows you to breathe normally underwater.
Interesting.
It lasts until you speak it again, the cap is removed, or you're no longer water. It's a pretty... It's not too hard to make, unfortunately. There's not a lot of people who are interested in buying this.
Why, is it expensive?
No, it's not very expensive at all. It's just apparently not a lot of people want to go around exploring underwater all that often for some reason. This I'd be happy to part with for 250 gold.
I'll just write that down for the moment.
This is a nice thing about this is, unlike a lot of magic items, this does not require attunement.
Alright, what else do you have?
It says, he pulls out a pair of fur boots. It says,
Fur?
fur, yeah, there's fur lining them. It says, a bit of a niche item, I suppose. These are known as boots of the Winterlands. I suppose it's not bad for cold weather, but we tend to... But until winter comes, they aren't exactly all that important. Still, these are useful items. They do require attunement, unfortunately. But while wearing them, you are very well suited to the cold. It says, spells and other magical forms of which would try to freeze you have a very hard time doing so. It says you can walk across ice and snow without fear of slipping or tripping. And you can survive in very cold temperatures, especially if you happen to be wearing heavier clothing. Here we say, yes, that actually does sound like something we might need to worry about. Winter is approaching in a few months, because we didn't exactly bring warm clothes with us.
True enough.
Keep that one out, I say. I think I might consider buying those. How
How much is it?
It says this is 300 gold pieces. It's a bit more valuable than the cap of water breathing, but again, not a lot of people are interested in buying it.
Yeah. Okay.
This next one, on the other hand, is a very popular item. I have to remake a few of these, but I still have one on hand. Pulls out a pair of goggles, and the design of the visor has the face of an owl motif upon it.
Oh.
It says, These are referred to as goggles of night. Effectively, they allow you to see in the dark, exactly as an owl would. A large number of peoples around the world already have night vision, but halflings do not, and as far as I'm aware, neither do humans or water genasi, so this might be something you're interested in.
I say, point at my shoulder and have my owl pop into existence. Take a wrist scratch under the chin.
Yes, because I know, there's quite a few. Nevertheless, among non-wizards, these are very popular.
I can imagine.
They're a bit more expensive, but a bargain I think you'll consider when they don't require attunement at 400 gold.
Oh, that's an interesting item for sure.
And now, the last bit of... I think this is the last bit of magical paraphernalia I have. Yeah, I'm pleased for that. He pulls out a pair of gloves. He says, these are very popular. As soon as someone can afford these, they're usually gone. These are gloves of missile snaring.
Someone shoots an arrow, you can grab it.
Yes, if one is deft enough, but this helps you do so, even without training. These do require attunement, but if you are quick enough, you can snatch an arrow right into the air and avoid getting shot by it.
Cool.
The cost for these, though, these are quite useful. I think you can imagine a lot of people are interested in. These are 500 gold pieces. These are nearing the pricier range.
Yeah, I can see that. Well,
I have if you are alchemists and if you're an alchemist and you're also adventurers, I'm sure you're also interested in potions. We have a lot of those. I have a lot of those, being an alchemist myself.
alright, what do you have in potions?
Well, he says, let's start with the one everyone wants. He says, opening a drawer. He takes out one vial of a very familiar-looking liquid that you know it makes us. Everyone needs potions of healing. It says, if you're adventuring. It says, I have quite the stock of these I'm willing to sell at the moment. I also have, he pulls out another vial, which is a very similar-looking liquid. He says, these are not as easy to come by. It says, these are potions of greater healing.
Ah. Okay.
So, I assume you probably can make these if you're an alchemist. At least, it says hold out the potion of healing. But I'm pretty sure you also know it's usually 50 gold for these. The Graters, it says, they go for about 150.
Alright. And what else do you have in potions?
Alright, well, you mentioned these. It says, he pulls out 2 potions of a bright blue liquid. He says, these are potions of heroism. And he holds 2 of them up. All I have in stock at the moment, and they are far more valuable than the basic healing potions, I'm afraid. These healing potions, I'm afraid. These might be outside your price range, because, well, not everyone can afford to be a hero, I suppose. A single one of these runs for 800 gold.
Okay.
Yes, that's a bit expensive, but if you ever learn how to make them yourself, bear that in mind that you will have be able to sell them.
Alright.
Says, what else do I have here? Here's something that's a bit it's interesting and doesn't come very often. He holds up a potion that actually looks like it's of a bright red-orange liquid that is bubbling. He puts it down. It's hot. This is a potion of fire breathing. It is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's something that comes in handy from time to time. I've had this one for quite a while. It says, does exactly what it says on the tin. Well, after you drink this, for the next hour, you can breathe fire at someone within the 30 feet of you, he says, I think. It is. But it's worth noting that the potion can expire early. You can only breathe fire 3 times with it within the hour. So there's a bit of a limit.
Breathe fire for a full hour would probably be quite a...
Yes. It's also quite quick to do this. So as a wizard, I'm sure you'll be interested to find that you'll actually be able to cast a spell, most of your spells, easily enough, and then still breathe fire with relative ease in the combat. So basically, it's a bonus action to use to breathe the fire.
How much is that?
It says, this, I've had it for quite a while. It's, we'll say 250. This is, There it is. He pulls out a liquid, a vial of liquid, which when you actually look at it, it looks back at you, you realize. There is some sort of eye in the liquid. It's just kind of translucent. It says, don't let the image fool you. It's just the magic at work. This is what's known as a potion of clairvoyance.
Oh, wow.
It's a bit more of an advanced spell than I'm able to cast, but I've had this for quite some time. It lets you, while you drink this potion, you are effectively able to use the clairvoyance spell without material components, without concentration, for its duration.
I look over at you.
I said, that is interesting. It is. It's a... Again, it's a very useful item. I'm sure adventurers can find for that. It's also a bit more expensive. This is 750 gold. Just a little less than the heroes and potions.
Wow.
But,
alright. How about scrolls?
I have, well, a rather effective library of scrolls. It goes and it says, so basically his collection consists of all the first and second level spell scrolls.
Right.
There's actually all those. I can also try and order some more advanced ones, he says, but they'll have to take time to get here, and there's a bit of an additional cost to those. He says,
right.
so he can order third level scrolls for us as well, but he doesn't have them here. It takes them time to get here, and there's usually an additional cost to the gold cost of the scroll. And spell scrolls are usually 100 gold per spell level, so.
Okay.
It says, alright, well, what else do we have here? Here's another thing lots of people like. And he pulls out a number of rings.
Oh.
He just sets them up. These, admittedly, we're getting into the pricier items here. Because magic rings are very popular and because, well, their ease of use and their variety of effects. Unfortunately, it also makes them more costly. Here's a common one. He pulls up a ring, which looks familiar to you because it has a small engraving of a shield on it. This is a ring of protection. Lots of adventurers like having these because they make them harder to hit and they help them resist spells and other harmful effects.
Cool.
He looks at your hand and says, though I do see you are actually wearing one. He says, well, in case you want, if you want another one, this is 1,500 gold pieces, I'm afraid. Yes, all of these rings are a bit more than others. If protection isn't what you're interested in, perhaps you're interested in just not getting hit at all. He holds out another ring. It says, this is called a ring of evasion. It says, while attuned to this ring, you can effectively, its magic can only be used a certain number of times before it has to recharge. But you can use its magic to effectively dodge something you fail to do so. You can use this, so basically, in game terms, this has 3 charges, and you can use, as a reaction, you can use the ring's charge to succeed on a dexterity saving throw you failed.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, this is a bit more expensive. This is twice the cost of the ring of protection at 3,000 gold pieces.
Don't have that, that's for sure.
He holds out a pair of rings. These are technically the same type of ring, but slightly different. These are rings of resistances. They protect against a very specific form of damage, normally. They're quite popular, though they just protect you from anything. Well, a specific thing, but always, without question. This one, he holds it, protects against acid, which is quite unpleasant.
I can imagine.
This one, he says, protects against blasts of mystic force, which I'm sure as wizards you understand can be quite difficult to protect yourself against otherwise. So, one's a ring of acid resistance, the other's a ring of force resistance.
So, like magic missiles kind of thing?
Magic missile, disintegrate, anything like that, yeah. Any force damage.
And how much are they?
These are some of my high. These are my highest price items. These are 4,500 gold pieces each. Yeah, I don't often get buyers for these, but there's lots of people who really wish they could. So, if you ever have the money, remember that these are here. Only one more ring. This is a common item among magic users. It says. He actually shows a pair of rings which are banded together, and there's a band of runes along them. Okay. It says, "This is a ring of spell storing."
Excellent.
It says, "Don't worry, I've emptied it. These are empty. So you don't have to worry about the fact finding these, you can always find spells still stored in them. I always make sure these are clean before I sell them. Don't think I need to explain too much about these. You can store spells in them that you would normally be able to cast, and then you can cast them later, even if you don't have the spell prepared, and you can do so without expending your own reserves."
Pricey, I assume.
Less so than some of the other ones at 2,500. But this is something lots of spellcasters would love to get their hands on.
Yeah. Me included.
There's one more item. He says, "This is a bit of a magical trinket, just something actually. It's kind of fun." He holds up an agate on a necklace that is in the shape of a cat's face. He says, "This is a stone of good luck, also known as a luck stone. This," he holds up as he picks up the ring of protection. Again, kind of works a little bit like the ring here, except it doesn't really make you harder to hit. But it gives you a bit of luck that just means that whenever you're trying to succeed on something, or if you ever need not to get hit, it makes you a little better at that. So what the Luckstone does, requires attunement, but you get a +1 bonus to ability checks and saving throws. Whereas the ring gives you +1 AC and saving throws. He says, "This one's about 500 gold. He says, "Lots of people would like to have that though." And that's basically it, what I have at the moment.
Well, that is an awful lot of stuff.
Yes, so you have some stuff there. Your friend was interested in the boots. So, is there anything else here you want? Or can I start putting some of this stuff away?
What do you want? What do you want out of all this? Like, you want the paper and stuff, right?
Yes. Definitely the paper and ink for transcribing. I'll buy my own, don't worry. So that's yours. Your supply? That's what it's for?
Yes.
Okay. Alright. I can make my own, but I would like to buy some as well, because we haven't found another source of materials yet. The boots, definitely. Those sound like they'd really help cut down on us having to buy winter clothing at some point, and just quite useful. I think if we ever end up in the colder climates. I do have... I have some other things working on. I too have been researching something. I've been researching my own spell, and I've come close to finishing it, but I do need some final materials. And I also need to get the material components, and I pull out the bag of gems we have. I saw that you had a method of grinding up gems. I was wondering if you'd grind up some of these, and possibly take some as payment for the components, in hope of... because I need gem dust mixed with ink for the spell I'm working on. Well, it's always nice to see that when a wizard's willing to engage in serious research. He says, So, you need materials for research and spell components for spells. Alright. He just wants me to go through the steps of them. I said, alright. So I'm going to need some ink and paper. I'm going to need the actual materials to finish up my research. Alright, so I need 150 gold for materials for research. I need the ink and paper. I'm probably going to... I'll probably just add the same 4 you did onto mine. Alright. Yep, alright. So the vat, he starts grinding up to the gems. He says, "I can, yeah." Alright, he says, "How much of this gems do you want?" He says, these are good. These are good value. Alright, I said, "I'd like 2 of those ground up, so that should be about 200 gold pieces worth of gem dust." And he says, "Alright." He says, "Fine, he takes out 2 more gems. He says, "I'm going to take these as compensation for that." He says, "And for the 2 you're grinding up, want me to grind up." So basically, yes. So I'm going to be knocking off 4 gems, 4 which will be gem dust, which I'll mix with the ink I need.
Okay.
So it's like, okay. So he just puts an extra vial of ink there. It says, there, you can mix it with that. This is a bit more standard ink. Says, I won't bother charging you for that. There's enough gold here. That's point. I said, what about, I was trying to say, what about those potions? Some of those sound good.
What do you want?
Well, we can never have too many healing potions.
I have 11 healing potions.
Okay, what about the graders? What about the stronger ones?
I'm actually fine for potions at the moment. What I do want, personally, is obviously the materials I need to finish the wand. I want that. The 4 sheets of ink and paper, I want that.
Yeah, and the book.
The book. And the cap of water breathing, I think, might be interesting.
Alright, the cap of water breathing is going to add on. So that brings your total up to 780 gold pieces.
Yes, that's 2, 5, 780, yes. Is there any wiggle room on that? I'm going to try and charm him with a little bit of...
Yes. Well, you did mention that as he's finishing up grinding up the gem dust, he says, you mentioned some things. That some herbs and mushrooms.
I have... Let's see... I have some mushrooms. And I hold up the 2 that are... These are... well, they're poison mushrooms for making... Well, obviously poison potions. I have no real interest personally in these, but you know, there are obviously people in the world who do.
Well, there are some medicinal uses for diluted forms of poison. So I might have a use for those, but what else do you have?
I have 3 mushrooms, according to the research we found in that place, that are ingredients for potions of invisibility.
Ah, he says, those are that's slightly hard to come by. He wants to, he's just asking to examine one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, it is, isn't he? Yes, I recognize this species. Quite hard to come by. He says, alright. He says, if you give me this one, he just puts it there. We say 700 even for everything you have?
I also have 4 mushrooms that are part involved in potions of heroism.
Ah, he also looks at that and says, oh, that's quite good. Okay. He says, all right, these 2. He says, and everything you bought for 600 gold. So that's 180 off. You're going to attempt to...
My massive persuasion skills. Never mind. I'll take the 600.
So 600 for that. Okay.
So what I'll do is I will, because I want to keep some money for other things.
Yep.
I will give him 3 gems.
So that's 300. Yep. And 300 gold.
And then 300 gold.
Okay. And you can add the cap of water breathing. The ink and paper. The book.
And the ingredients.
And all the materials you need to finish your wand.
Yep.
Alright, on my end...
Oh, also, by the way, I'm going to tell him that I am definitely interested in some of the rings, but they're beyond my means currently.
Alright, yep. Alright, so on my end, I'm just going to calculate this up quickly. 300 for the boots. Another 200 for the ink and paper. The gem dust is covered. How much? I look at the potion of clairvoyance and like, that sounds very nice. I think I can afford it. So we're at 500 so far. 750. Alright, 1 second. So 4 of the gems have been taken care of. I'm just trying to calculate this. I have the money. That's how much I'm willing to spend.
Oh yes, I mean, I could have bought a ring if I gave up everything I had.
Yeah. Alright. Yeah. Well, these gems are good for bartering, I think. Alright. So 500 so far. 12. Okay. Yeah. Well, I could have some use for these gems, but I'm going to give 6 of the 12 I have remaining, so that's 600. So that more than covers the ink and paper and the boots. And then I say, and I want that potion, so that's 100 more, yeah, and I'll 650 in gold.
That's a big hit.
That's a big hit, but I can afford to pay it.
Yeah, better to have than to not have.
Yeah, he says, all right. He says, all right, well, pleasure doing business with you both.
Oh, we will die.
Yeah, he hands us, he basically hands us all a bundle full of the things that we both asked for.
Yep.
And then we can set out then.
Yes.
So that's our shopping taken care of. I said, well, if we want anything else to buy from his shop, we're definitely going to need some more gold. I thought we were doing pretty good, but we just burnt through a lot.
We are going to need a lot more gold.
Which means I think we should go back to the Whippoorwill and take a serious look at some of those notices.
Yep.
Alright, so let's do that.